It's the match we've all been waiting for. It's the number one game everyone's waiting for this weekend. No, I'm not talking about Liverpool versus City. It's Aston Villa versus Tottenham. Both of these teams just before Christmas were somewhat the dark horses, the unexpected title contenders, title challengers to be. And maybe since then it's kind of not happened for either one of them, but both of them very comfortably sit within the top five. And this is a 6-pointer to see really who is the best of the rest so far in the Premier League and who can go on to really cement top four ahead of a vital part of the Premier League season for both teams. And who is going to make the difference? Is it going to be the players? Is it going to be the managers? Maybe even the referees, you never know. In the video today, we're going to have a look at Aston Villa versus Tottenham, what to expect, what we think might happen, as well as a little score prediction at any point in the video. If you laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We are pushing for 10,000 subscribers, and I cannot do that without your support, guys. So please do hit the subscribe button and get into the comment section and give me your score prediction for this game. And let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, the predicted lineups for both teams are looking pretty strong at the moment. There is always a little bit of an option for Unai Emery to somewhat rotate and change the shape of the team, but down to injuries and, this Europa Conference League competition that they're playing in at the moment, they are on thin ice for their ability to be able to rotate and use the squads. But this is a very strong 11. John McGinn didn't start, and Leon Bailey didn't start the match on Thursday night. Pau Torres only clocked 45 minutes, and Ezri Konsa gets sent off, so he never played the 90 minutes either. But Tottenham Hotspur have had nothing to do midweek but prepare for this game. They do have injury suspensions and a few other bits and bobs in their squad as well. Only the, you might want to argue the front three here for Tottenham, but really Emerson is the only non-best 11 probable player in this lineup. So Tottenham away from home looking really, really strong. And in recent weeks, Werner and Brennan Johnson, when they've both been on the pitch together, when Son wasn't around, they were a fantastic pair of incisive attacking forwards. And as far as Tottenham's concerned, that is going to be their number one route to go, is with the way that Ange Ball is going to be playing with Royale and Udogie coming into midfield, which is going to make this a real football match getting fought out in the centre ground in the middle of the pitch, because the way Tottenham are going to want to overload in this area here with and without the ball and press Aston Villa relentlessly, even in their own half, really does play into the way Aston Villa want to play football, especially at home, injuries or not. Now, the forecast does have Diaby playing alongside Bailey, Tielemans in support of Watkins in front of Dougie and McGinn here. But where Diaby will be deployed really does say a lot about where, initially from kickoff anyway, where Unai Emery perhaps thinks the weaknesses in Tottenham is going to be. And we might even see something change throughout the game. They might sense a passes on that they didn't think of before the match. But I'm not too sure whether Diaby is going to be, in addition to Watkins here as an actual attacker, and Tielemans is going to be like the left mid coming inside whenever the ball's focused down this end of the pitch here for Aston Villa, or if Diaby is going to be on the left as such, Tielemans maybe more in this kind of forward role, because Tottenham wanting to come in here is great for them, and that's all we know what Ange Ball is going to bring with Bissouma, Sarr and Maddison. There's a lot of energy to move into different pockets of space. We know how far up the pitch Udogie likes to get as well as Emerson Royale in different areas of the match. So Aston Villa really don't mind making the pitch narrow when they're defending and pressing the ball themselves, and are very good at resisting the press, as it were. Douglas Luiz and John McGinn are absolute anchors in midfield that can be played off, and both of them have got a fantastic eye for a pass. And I do think if Diaby and Bailey are played either side of the pitch, then it does give even the likes of Pau and Longley, the goalkeeper, anyone that does want to play an ambitious ball up the pitch, let's call it, then these wider areas here where Diaby could be running into, or Bailey, are going to be key zones that Aston Villa could exploit. And Tottenham play their system knowing that's going to happen, and the likes of Van de Ven, Romero will have to recover to deal with that alongside Bissouma. But Aston Villa, when they do this sort of thing to teams, they cut teams open and they can score a couple of goals really quickly, especially at home, and take a match away from teams. So as much as I think that both these teams do really iron up to each other pretty well, we know Ange Ball is going to be unapologetically Ange Ball in this game, no two ways about it. But how Aston Villa actually, the finesse of their team will kind of decide, I suppose, how they're actually going to try and attack Tottenham. If we see Diaby and Bailey on the same side of the pitch, and maybe Tielemans is more kind of coming inside when the ball's focused on, then you really could see them putting much more pressure on Udogie, stopping him to get higher up the pitch, a little bit more pressure on Werner perhaps as well. And then that maybe just gives Aston Villa a bit more control in possession and a little bit less threat when they lose the ball, if, because Udogie is a massive part of chance creation, especially in turnover and in overload when they get a quick transition from possession in the middle of the pitch into the final third. So stifling him, and especially Emerson Royale as well. Not that he does anything, but having not that he does anything that world class or unbelievably you can't stop it. But if you're negating these guys, their ambition to really go forward and attack and impose the style of play on the game, then you almost kind of nullify it in a roundabout way. And Aston Villa really do need to not just manage the game tactically from the start, but they really need to manage their team as the game goes on. And the majority of changes that Aston Villa have got on their locker take a bit of pace out of the team, perhaps. I know Morgan Rogers and a few other guys are still, quick and whatever, but you do see Diaby and Bailey, Watkins just unadulterated pace on the counter-attack. So in the midfield, guys like Sarr, Tielemans, Dougie, McGinniesta, Maddison, it's going to be a really interesting battle in the middle of the pitch here to see who does win the ball more often than not, and in turnover then who's able to go and actually, exploit the spaces in and behind, because these incisive forwards that we started talking about of Tottenham Hotspur have got Son to play with. Now Son, the thing that we all love about Son Heung-min is he hits left foot, right foot, he'll take a header, he'll do anything for his teammates, and we've all fancied him as a real centre forward. And when him and Kane played together and were in their pomp, a lot of people did say, hey, Son is actually doing maybe a lot more than people are giving him credit for. So him being the absolute spear point here of Brennan Johnson maybe coming in behind of Moreno, if he ever gets out of position a bit higher up the pitch, with Pau Torres, who's only managing like 45 minutes or so now, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't even start this game. He's on the projected 11, but if it was something like Longley in this position with Konsa and then maybe Matty Cash on this side, because, the pace of Timo Werner, I think Konsa will fancy going man for man as a right back against Timo Werner, don't get me wrong, but if it's pace and the ball gets played into space and behind Konsa, if he does get caught out of position, he's not going to catch Turbo Timo. And if Turbo Timo gets running down this side of the pitch all by himself with the likes of Son and Brennan keeping up with him, then, I can just see both teams having a lot of pace to exploit each other's lack of pace and the spaces that they might leave in any stages of the game where they're getting comfortable in possession, setting up attacks, or maybe even dominating the match. Tottenham aren't blessed with many options on the bench either, but still having the likes of Kulusevski and Bentancur, I suppose, still kind of keep this ship going in the same direction that it does. Whereas with Aston Villa, once you start subbing off Diaby for Rodgers, maybe Ramsey's fit for this one. I think that's a real touch and go. Very unlikely. He's down as 15% on the projected lineups here. Maybe Cash comes on. He's got some pace, of course, but that's from defence, and then you're maybe opening yourself up to this Tottenham team later in the game when maybe you're chasing it. So again, that's why I can maybe see Cash starting this one, because Pau, if he's only managing 45 minutes, do you really want to risk breaking him in this kind of game where he will be running against Brennan Johnson, he will be running against Son, whoever he's up against, he will be running into his own half if Tottenham have their own way about it, and you just don't want these guys getting any more injured. So I wouldn't be surprised if it maybe looked a little bit more like this. That would then encourage it, I think, for it to be Tielemans as more of a left side here, and maybe it wouldn't actually. Maybe that does encourage it a bit more to be Diaby on this side with Tielemans in this area. And then there's maybe a bit more of balance that you still have something on the left here. And then both players or both sides of the pitch have always got two men to be playing with as a creative kind of hold-up pressing player and an actual finisher, target man in Ollie Watkins, who is going to have a massive say. But I think probably one of the most underestimated elements of this game when I'm looking at it is both the goalkeepers. Vicario and Martinez are two of the best shot stoppers, game winners, hero goalkeepers there is in the division. So as much as in midfield and in attack, both teams have got plenty of quality. It's in between the sticks. It's the goals where I think both teams really are an unknown quantity coming into this game. Like how many goals could actually be scored, no matter how many chances are created. I think this is a game, because Aston Villa have played Thursday night, Tottenham will be extra motivated to start very, very quickly. And when Tottenham do start the game quickly, they tend to get a couple of goals. Tottenham's number one problem but this season has been scoring more than two. They're starting to get into a bit of a rhythm. We've seen them score 3 or more a couple of times this year, but that's actually been Aston Villa's strength, especially at home. Scoring 3 goals or more has been the thing that's got Aston Villa the points they've had so far this season. But with the injury list piling up and, like I say, playing Ajax on Thursday night for the majority of the squad, I'm not sure Aston Villa will get the 3 goals in this one, and I don't actually think Tottenham will either. I think this one's going to finish 2 each, which will be really entertaining for any of the neutrals. Maybe a bit of a letdown for some of the fans that would want to get the 3 points in the 6-point encounter. They have the bragging rights over the other one, as well as give themselves maybe the opportunity to still look up a little bit. Depends how optimistic you want to feel, I suppose. It's definitely going to be an exciting game, and I can't wait to catch the comment section on this one to see what you guys think. Let me know what you think the predicted score is going to be, what you think the final score will be for Aston Villa at home at Tottenham this weekend. weekend. On screen there now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.